You're listening to the Overcast, your joke-making, fun-having pop culture podcast, brought to you by Oversoul Gaming.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Overcast. I'm Justin,
I'm Nick.
and together we're bringing you sunshine on a cloudy day. No Brooksy this time because he's out sick. Caught himself a bit of the flu, he did. But he will be here with us in spirit as he sent in an email with stuff for me to read to you from him for each section of the show today. So he will still get his due credits in, but won't be here vocally, unfortunately, as speaking for him is hard right now. But all that being said, speaking of sunshine and clouds, been getting a lot of both in my area. One day it's rainy and wet, the next day it's sunny and kind of trying to be warm. So that's where we're at now. Is it the same for you?
So we've had rain. We just had a really bad snowstorm that didn't really have much of any effect. It canceled school the next day. Effectively canceling date day. Sarah and I we had tickets to go see that new Woody Harrelson movie Last Breath, but because my daughter had a snow day,
Right.
effectively canceled date day. But we got a lot done. We got a lot of stuff unpacked, boxes taken out to the dumpster. Oh yeah, that's right. That's something that I didn't really talk about yet on the show. Yeah, we moved into a new apartment. Same complex, different apartment. They moved us into an already renovated apartment so they could renovate the one we were in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it more or less the same layout?
No. Bigger kitchen, overall smaller apartment.
Oh, okay.
We had a shoebox for a kitchen in the last apartment, but we have more moving around space in this one.
Well, that's good at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, since you're already going, tell me what's up and what's new lately. Besides that.
I've been reading James and the Giant Peach to Willow before bed every night, and she absolutely loves it.
Nice.
When we are done reading the book, we are gonna watch the Tim Burton film with her. It was one of my favorites as a kid, and hopefully she enjoys it and appreciates it just as much as I did, and I still do to this day.
Oh yeah, it's a good one.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. Willow had oral surgery to get her cavities taken care of, fixed and whatnot. And because she was so brave, I took her to Build-A-Bear. She made a toothless, and she got bunny ears for her toothless, rainbow sparkly shoes, and the saddle for toothless.
Getting a toothless doll after having your teeth worked on or pulled or whatever.
I didn't see the irony in that until just now.
Yeah, the kid's got a sense of humor.
That's clever. I ended up making a stuffed Grogu for Sarah to surprise her.
Aw.
made another trip to the Apple store and upgraded my Apple Watch. Um oh, it's, since it's come out and I've played a little bit of it, I'm not gonna give it a full media corner entry just yet, but I do want to talk a little bit about WWE 2K25. The island is essentially, yeah, it's like PlayStation Home, but for wrestling fans. But there's a story that goes along with it.
Okay.
You're basically competing for against everyone else that is on the island for a WWE contract.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You liking the game overall so far, though?
So far, yes, I'm liking what they're doing with it. It's like in 2K24 they had My Rise. They had two different stories in My Rise. This in this game they have one story in My Rise. The island is a story in its own, and then there's the showcase, which showcases the bloodline. But what they're doing with the island is something that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to, and that will ultimately make or break this game as far as the scores on Metacritic goes.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
This game is doing things that no other WWE game has done, and hopefully, fingers crossed that that uh that it does well on Metacritic for our little game reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I do when it's my turn, I'm actually going to update I have some updates for that because we didn't talk about them in the last episode.
No, we didn't.
But we had a guest and we were trying to make sure we got it done in a timely manner, so I figured it could wait. Um
Yeah.
but we'll get to that in a minute. I saw you dabbled a little bit in Monster Hunter too, didn't you?
Yeah, it's interesting so far. I played a little bit of Monster Hunter Wilds. I did play a little bit of Dragon Age the Veil Guard as well. I'm really getting into that. I have since finished Lost Records Bloom and Rage Part 1. That was so fucking good. And I cannot wait for Part 2.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to our spoiler cast for both parts in April.
Yes. Yes.
That'll be beautiful.
I'm super excited that we're finally getting a remaster of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. That's been a long time coming, and those are the two games that I grew up playing. I never really got the chance to play 1 and 2, but I do have the remaster for it.
Okay. But 3 and 4
But
were the ones that you grew up with.
3 and 4 are the ones that I grew up with, though. So that's gonna have a certain amount of nostalgia for me.
I'm glad you're enjoying the new Dragon Age. Welcome to the dark side. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of felt like that one would resonate with you. What with how the combat's handled and how the choices all have icons to indicate what kind of choice they're gonna be. Like jokey or emotional.
It's
or
very
aggressive.
hack and slash, and the combat mechanics remind me a lot of like as of like Batman Arkham or maybe the Spider-Man games.
Okay, yeah, very fast paced, very actiony.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
I saw your character, and I saw that you decided to go with the Antivan Crows as a faction. Good choice.
Yes.
Uh, I went with the Grey Wardens on my first playthrough, but then what? What character class did you pick? That's what I didn't see. Are you a warrior, mage, or rogue?
Warrior?
Warrior, like sword and shield.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I did on my first playthrough too. The shield you can throw like Captain America, which is crazy.
Yes. Hell yeah.
I'm a rogue on my second playthrough, a dwarven rogue, and you dual wield two swords and use a bow and arrow as your ranged weapon. It's pretty cool.
There's another game that I dabbled in a little bit. Um, a game that I was actually really, really looking forward to when it was announced, but had no idea that it had already been out for a while.
Oh,
What got me excited about it was the fact that it was a collaboration with the Dead by Daylight universe and
oh,
Supermassive Games.
okay,
I
yeah.
have played a little bit of the casting of Frank Stone, not enough to give it any sort of attention. I
I forgot all about that. I was
I
gonna ask how you liked it so far, but
so far I'm liking what I'm seeing. Um I'll it'll be getting a full media corner entry whenever I do finish it.
oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, yeah. There's no rules about how old or new something is to go on this
Oh, I
show,
know.
so
Oh, I know. I just want to be able to finish it.
yeah. No, yeah, no, absolutely. I look forward to hearing about
I
it because I've heard mixed things, so I wasn't sure. But
so what
if it feels like a Dark Pictures game, then I'm in.
Oh, hell yeah. So one thing that I we learned about having a PlayStation Portal, there's no way to put multiple profiles on it. So
Mm-hmm.
Sarah's had her PlayStation Portal for a while. I just got mine in the mail this past Monday,
Okay.
and I got it in Midnight Black.
Ooh, very nice. But
Yeah.
you can have multiple portals hooked up to the same PlayStation as long as they're different profiles.
No, so oh yeah, yes, yeah, yeah, multiple portals as long as they're different profiles. Yes,
Right, right. Okay. Yeah, because you really are just streaming everything's still running on the PS5. You're just streaming the image to the portal through the internet.
exactly.
But it's useful, but it is useful for when other people. I've
For
been thinking of getting one myself actually.
it's not a bad investment, especially if 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 your mom is watching one of her shows and you want to play on the PlayStation and you can't. This is
Right.
one of this would be perfect for you.
Yeah, that's the reason I was thinking of it.
Yeah.
Um Yeah, so many things I want that are so pricey. They actually recently they permanently dropped the price, or they are permanently dropping the price of the PSVR 2 from $600 to $400, which makes it more affordable but still a little out of my ballpark at the moment. So,
Right.
but I do want it eventually because I want to play Switchback, which is a supermassive game and a spiritual successor to Until Dawn Rush of Blood, and I want to play the Horizon game and a few other things that are on there.
Fair
Um,
enough.
and I would like to upgrade my MetaQuest 2 to a 3 at some point so I can play the new Batman Arkham game Shadows because that's the only way to play it.
Right.
So that
I also
eventually I'm just going to bite the bullet and watch the cutscenes on YouTube, honestly,
right.
cuz I can't cuz I don't want to miss out.
Say I also ended up picking up Split Fiction, so Sarah and I will at some point get to that. I know it's an exclusively a co-op game.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what you think because apparently if you liked It Takes Two, then you'll love this is what I've heard.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
It's been a minute since we played It Takes Two as well. So
and this is the first EA published game since Mass Effect 3 to get more than a 90 on Metacritic.
okay,
That's a big deal.
yeah,
Um, Speaking of Metacritic scores, what I alluded to earlier, I just want to update people for those of you who listened to our episode about the uh, draft picks for upcoming video games and all that. Um, so far, it's kind of mixed on the ones that we picked that are doing well and aren't. For me personally, Monster Hunter and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 are both doing really well, but Lost Records is kind of middling. Um, Split Fiction is doing really well, which was one of Brooksy's games, but Civ, what was it, Civ 7, didn't do so well. And jury's still out on a lot of the games you picked, Nick, but
yeah. I know. I
but
didn't. I
like
didn't.
that's
have
just
a
because they're
very
not
good,
out. They're not out yet. That's all.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like Claire Obscure isn't out yet. WWE technically isn't out till next week, but so far the critic reviews are in the high 80s, which is looking in your favor. So,
Ooh, okay.
um, last I checked, it was like an 85 after 6 critic reviews. So,
Okay.
yeah, so basically an 8.5 out of 10 seems to be the general consensus so far. Um, Yeah, so that's not bad, but I wanted to update people because remember that we said we had benches?
Yeah.
I benched Borderlands 4 and I was going to do Metal Gear Solid Delta, but then I realized that it was more of a remaster than a remake. So, if I remember correctly, you benched something that was announced during that State of Play. It was that octopus game, Darwin something.
Yeah. I don't remember. Hold on.
I don't remember either. This is, um, we'll have to revisit this again.
Do we have our list pinned somewhere in our group chat?
The original list is, but not the bench ads. I only remember mine because I know Brooksy benched something too, and I can't remember what it was. So we'll revisit this.
I know he snagged Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 here for his 7th spot.
Was that his 7th? I thought. Oh yeah,
yeah.
He still had 2 open spots. So that's what it was. Okay.
I said something about it, and I made a big mistake doing that because I could have easily replaced it. Replaced it. Words are hard. I'm glad I caught myself on that.
That's a good one.
Oh. I could have easily replaced that Darwin game with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, but I had to open my big mouth because I didn't realize that he didn't have all of his spots filled.
Fair enough. Yeah, because if I remember correctly, you filled your 7th and 8th spot. I just don't remember with what.
I did.
I remember that. But I don't remember the other thing. What was the other thing?
It was Borderlands 4.
No, that was mine.
Wait, no, was it? No.
Yeah.
No. Not Borderlands 4. Wow.
Was it Metroid Prime 4?
Metroid Prime 4, that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think Brooksy is controlling the updated list with all the benches, so we'll revisit this in the next episode when he's actually with us.
Yes.
But I did want to at least update that there was some bench spots that have been filled in. And I was, because I don't have much in way of life updates as per usual, so figured I would say that. I mean, I went to the movie theaters and did a double feature. Recently, I saw Captain America Brave New World and The Monkey, the horror movie back to back. And So Captain America, I did a spoiler cast for that you find folks can go listen to if you want to. The first half is spoiler free, then it's spoilers. If you've heard them before, you know how we do it on this show.
Yes.
But the monkey is actually going to be tackled in today's media corner, not by me, but by the email that Brooksy sent in, because he's seen that movie. And he and I have slightly different takes on it, but I'll explain that when we get there, because I went into this movie with the correct expectations and he did not, but it wasn't his fault. The trailer's very misleading. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. I'm still on my canonical Star Wars journey, and I finished The Bad Batch, all 3 seasons of that.
Nice.
Next to the Clone Wars, honestly, The Bad Batch might be one of the best pieces of media in all of Star Wars continuity, quite frankly, because not only does it follow such a likable group of defective clones that each have their own special abilities, one's super smart, one's super strong, one's a really good tracker, all that. But on top of that, in the background, in the side stories, you get to watch the Empire slowly take over after the events of the 3rd movie, and after Anakin becomes Vader. You get to see the Empire slowly take over all these different planets and villages and stuff. You get to see some of the clone troopers transition into stormtroopers, and they introduce Project Necromancer, which is the beginning stages of how Emperor Palpatine came back to life in Star Wars 9. So, yeah, so it's a really interesting way to tie everything together with some of that
Makes
stuff.
Sense.
Plus, you get to see Fennec Shand, who she's in the Bad Batch animated version of her, and for those who don't know, she's the bounty hunter from The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, played by Ming-Na Wen, the voice of Mulan. She has a much bigger role in the Book of Boba Fett, but I think she's in both shows. So
Okay.
that's one of the things I really like about the Mandalorian and Boba Fett show, is that they bring back a lot of animated characters in live action. If I remember correctly, Cad Bane also appears in Book of Boba Fett, the blue guy with the hat. And he was a bounty hunter in a lot of episodes of the Clone Wars, and he's in a couple episodes of Bad Batch too. And he has a little robot companion that's voiced by Seth Green.
Nice.
Yeah, I love this whole the big multi-year gap between Star Wars 3 and 4, Revenge of the Sith and New Hope, is prime space, like real estate space for a lot of these shows, because you get to see the rise of the Empire and like all these side stories. That's when the Obi-Wan show takes place too. Yeah, so and you get to see the beginning of the Inquisitors too, which were former Force users that didn't become Sith, but they become basically Jedi hunters, going around hunting remaining Jedi and executing them. You see a couple of them in the Obi-Wan show, and you fight a couple of them in Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. So
Fair enough.
and they play a big role in Star Wars Rebels, another animated show that is about the beginning of the Rebel Alliance, the rise of the Rebel Alliance. So that show takes place around the time Princess Leia is 16 years old. So
That's right. Yep.
So, yeah, because in Obi-Wan, she's still a really young kid. She's probably like maybe 10 at that point, and then around the time Rebels hits, she's like 16, and then by the time Star Wars 4 hits, New Hope, I think she's like 18 or 19 in that movie.
That tracks.
So, yeah. That's what I'm looking forward to. So yeah, I finished the Bad Batch, so next in line was Jedi Fallen Order, which I've played and finished before, but I'm redoing everything. You know, I'm just doing the whole 9 yards. So I'm playing that now, and man, that game is just as good as I remember. It's one of the most well-made games I've ever played. It just mechanically, it works so well. It's just so satisfying. The force powers, the lightsaber combat, it's chef's kiss. And I'm playing the updated PS5 version too, so I'm getting those like really smooth frame rates and HDR visuals. Um, After Jedi Fallen Order, it's a rewatch of Obi-Wan. Or no, I'm sorry, it's not. After Jedi Fallen Order, it's the Han Solo movie with origin movie from when he was younger. Um,
Okay.
Donald Glover plays Lando Calrissian in that movie, which I'm excited for to see. Um,
Oh, that'll be cool.
but yeah, this movie shows you how Han Solo got the Millennium Falcon, among other things. So, that's next, and then it's a rewatch of Obi-Wan, and then it's Jedi Survivor, and then I can finally watch Rebels, a show I haven't seen before, another animated show. And then it's Andor, one of the live-action shows. There's 2 seasons of that. Season 2's coming soon. And Andor is also about the Rebels, and it leads directly into Rogue One, another movie I haven't seen, which is also about the Rebels. And then that movie leads directly into Star Wars A New Hope, the original trilogy. So
Okay.
I don't have too much further to go, but to get to the original trilogy, but there is a lot of shit between 3 and 4. That's where
I
a lot of
believe it sounds like it.
There's a lot of shit between 6 and 7 now too, because that's where Mandalorian takes place, Book of Boba Fett, and Skeleton Crew. So
Speaking of Boba Fett was the character that was not okay. So in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, there was a Star Wars character that you could play as, and I believe it was either Boba Fett or Jango Fett. I can't remember.
okay. They probably
Darth
couldn't
Maul.
get the. You're saying he's not in the remakes? They didn't bring him back?
No.
Probably couldn't
And
get the licensings right, you know.
that and Darth Maul was in Pro Skater 3.
Oh, that's cool.
Hell yeah.
That's cool. Somehow that works. Yeah. Yeah, that's another crazy thing about these other shows too, is that you find out in the Clone Wars that Darth Maul survived being chopped in half by Obi-Wan through pure anger. Like apparently Palpatine once told Anakin that the dark side of the Force is a path to unnatural powers. And he wasn't kidding, because there's necromancy, all kinds of crazy shit, and Darth Maul survives just through pure hate and anger. Just, he lives out of spite, literally, and then eventually becomes deformed into like a giant monster creature. And then one of the Night Sisters from Dathomir turns him back to normal, and he kind of has some fights with the Jedi, but eventually he becomes like half human, half robot spider, and
What the fuck?
or not, well, not half human. He's not human. He's Dathomirian. That's the planet he's from. But he becomes half organic, half cyborg. But eventually, from what I understand in the show Rebels, I haven't seen it yet, but from what I understand, an older Obi-Wan does eventually kill him permanently.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Yes, they have a very long running feud. But well, the Sith do follow the rule of 2. Only 2 can there ever be. 1 master, 1 apprentice. And the apprentice usually kills their master and takes on a new apprentice. That's how the Sith work.
Yeah.
So, Darth Sidious killed Darth Plagueis, and Darth Vader killed Darth Sidious, but then he died. So. What else, real quick? I've been playing a lot of Avowed. I finally, like, it sunk its hooks into me. It sunk its hooks into me, and I'm like really into it now. I'm gonna give it a review in the media corner though. So, I've been playing a little bit of Eternal Strands here and there, and I started to taste test Yakuza 0 because I've been really curious about this series, and I wanted to see if it's the kind of thing I would like or not. And yes, I do think I would like it very much, but I'm going to put it to the side for now, because if I play any more of it, then I'm going to get sucked into that and neglect all these newer games. So I'm going to try to finish Avowed before I jump into anything else that takes more than 10 hours to finish. So
Fair enough.
so yeah. That's it for me. Only other thing I want to say is Shane Gillis hosted SNL for the second time last Saturday, and the first time he hosted, he did a great job. That episode was hilarious. This one, not so much. I don't know why. He was a little off. He bombed during his monologue, and then I think it threw him off for the rest of the night. Is what happened.
Dude, the only time I was thankful that Shane Gillis was not on screen for the weekend update. I was like, whenever the next skit would go on, I was like, is Shane Gillis in this one? Please don't let him be in this one. Dude, it was so bad.
I will admit, though, for me personally, I did think that the pre-recorded skits were funny. The couple of beers one, and medication skit, and the one that Please Don't Destroy did, where they did a parody of The Voice. But for me, what made that funny was their reactions to him.
Yeah.
You know, like when Ego Nodum just completely drove the whole ass chair away, I lost it. Like that was funny. He was so repulsive in that skit, but on purpose. Yes. He was definitely giving Walmart regular Walmart customer vibes.
You're speaking the truth.
Oh shit. But yeah, besides the pre-recorded skits, the weekend update was really the only good part. I did kind of like the dad's house bit, but only because of Ashley Padilla when he called her on the phone and how she, like, Shane himself was definitely not funny in anything, but other people's reaction, like the other cast members' reactions to him, were funny to me.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no. Tonight should be a really good one, though, because pulling double duty as host and musical guest is Lady Gaga. So,
oh, nice.
And you know, she's always up for whatever, so...
Hell yeah.
Alright, now, before we transition over to the media corner, as I said earlier, Brooksy not being here in person, but he will be here in spirit, as he sent me an email with stuff to read for every section. Here is his short and sweet life updates. He says, as I'm sure our greatest hostess with the mostest has confirmed, the biggest life update is that I am down for the count on being sick. This immune system of a 32-year-old person was no match to the coughing and hacking of a 7-year-old that was in our house last weekend. Both myself and my wonderful wife are just slowly fading into the dark in our bedrooms as we await our full recovery. Otherwise, the only other thing I have been up to is grinding away at Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I'm about 50 to 60 hours in, and I would say I am at the halfway point in the game. Oh, Jesus. There is a huge patch with 32 pages worth of notes that is coming out soon, and I really hope it addresses the bug issues I've had, specifically the glitch with lighting in scenes or raining. But this story is too good. Once I finish it, I will not only be excited to move on to Split Fiction, but I will do a full deep dive into a spoiler cast with my final thoughts and official score for the game. So you heard it here first, folks. Much like I did a solo spoiler cast for Captain America Brave New World, Brooksy plans on doing a solo spoiler cast for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Then he'll send me the audio and I will edit it for him and upload it as one of our bonus episodes. So, all right.
You know what?
Sounds like you're gonna have to do a solo spoiler cast sometime,
dude.
Nick.
I think I for anybody that is a wrestling fan that listens, I think I might start doing spoiler casts for the premium live events.
Ooh, like a post,
like a recap show.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, that could be a fun little supplement to the podcast.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, with all those life updates out of the way, now it is time to transition to the media corner.
Let's mosey on over.
The coroner said it was an accident, but it was no accident. It was a monkey.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Media Corner, the part of the show reserved for news, reviews, recommendations, and sometimes previews. So for the sake of keeping things balanced, because I have something, Nick has something, and then Brooksy has something that I'm gonna have to read and also have some opinions on. So I'm gonna go first here, so we can patternize it, and I'm gonna talk about Avowed, the one of the more recent Xbox Game Pass entries. It hit Game Pass last month, so I'm a little late on it, but I've gotten far enough in it now that I think I can have a pretty solid opinion. This game is for fans of Skyrim and Dragon Age. It is very similar to both in a lot of ways. The gameplay is very similar to Skyrim in terms of the control scheme. Like, you know how in Skyrim you use Y or triangle to pull out your weapons, and if you want to put them away, you have to hold the button down in order to stash them.
Yes.
Sheath your weapon. Same thing here. But what's crazier here is that you get 2 weapon loadouts in your inventory, so pressing the Y button switches between those loadouts, and then holding it just puts your weapons away. So the gameplay, the moving, the jumping, the combat especially, is all very similar to Skyrim. You pull out whatever you have equipped, sword and shield, bow and arrow, whatever, and you use the trigger buttons on the controller to use, left trigger for your left hand, right trigger for your right hand, just like Skyrim. And so where it's more Dragon Age-esque is that, unlike Skyrim, you actually have a party in this game, like companions that follow you around everywhere and are part of the story. And as you play, you get more companions that you can swap out, because you always have 2 with you at a time, and the others stay back at your party camp, and then you can swap out who you have with you once you have more. And the banter between your companions and your relationships with them and everything, it all feels very BioWare. So, much like The Outer Worlds, Obsidian has done it again. They've made a Bethesda game that feels like a BioWare game. Because The Outer Worlds was basically Fallout meets Mass Effect, and this game is basically Skyrim meets Dragon Age.
Fair enough.
So the story here is that you are what's known as a godlike, basically someone who has been touched by a god, and it's visually represented by plants growing out of you. Basically, you can choose how it looks in customization, but you will have either like fungus or tree branches or some kind of weird shit growing out of your face and head, and that's how people know you're a godlike. What else is happening though is that there's this blight or virus, I guess you could say, going around called the Dream Scourge, and it's killing people, making them crazy, and when they die, mushrooms and shit burst out of their face. So people are a little taken back when they see you at first, because you look like you have the Dream Scourge, but you only look like that because you're a godlike. So some people recognize that right away. But this, so you are you're what's known as an envoy for the Emperor of this place called Adira. They send you to this place called the Living Lands in a town called Paradise. They hate Adirans here because your emperor has been sending soldiers to their land to basically, push their weight around and take things over and, bring order to a world of chaos. And people just see them as like militant fascists that came in and, wave their dicks around. So,
right.
So people, a lot of the people don't take too kindly to you on account of you being a Diran. But this game has choices. there are all kinds of side quests you can do, and you have dialogue options. You have a silent protagonist that you just choose the dialogue option, and the characters respond to what you chose, much like Skyrim. And there are certain side quests where you can choose to like help rebels or turn them in and stuff like that, and it kind of changes how the general public feels about you, whether or not you're just another Adiran narc to watch out for, or whether or not you're sympathetic to the cause of the little people. What I like about this, though, is that there doesn't seem to be any strong consequences for stuff that there would be typically in Dragon Age and Skyrim. So, for example, there's no companion companion likability meter. So if you say something that accidentally upsets one of your companions, vocally they will, you can tell that they're upset, but it isn't going to ruin your overall relationship with them like it would in, say, a Dragon Age game. And also, there are, in Skyrim, if you take shit off tables and towns and shit and people see you, they call you out for stealing, and then the town guard comes after you. That doesn't happen here. You can pick up everything that's not nailed down, and it's fine. There was this one guy, I went into a town mayor's house and looted a key from his bookshelf, and then went down and used that key to unlock a bedroom that he had a terrible secret hiding in. Then I confronted him. I confronted him about that secret, and he got mad and called me a common criminal. And how dare you question me? And please leave my house. And that's it. That's all that happened. We didn't fight. I didn't get arrested. It was like, okay, this game, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I like that, So it doesn't really. So there's not it's not harsh about you stealing and shit like Skyrim would be. There's a lot of player freedom in this game to just kind of faff about and do what you want. I will say this, though. Part of the reason it took a while for it to click with me is because in the beginning, I was struggling with the combat a little bit, even on easy. And the reason why is because I didn't understand how it works. You have your abilities, you have your character stats. Every time you level up, you can increase your strength, your health, your intellect, all that shit. And it unlocks different dialogue options for you, too, if that stuff's high enough. You can pass a skill check, like in D&D, to get new dialogue options. But a lot of that stuff doesn't really affect your combat prowess. What determines how well you're going to do in combat is the strength of your weapons and armor versus that of your enemy. When you're fighting enemies, if you look above their head, there'll be a little rank system. It'll either be a green 1, a blue 2, or a purple 3, and that tells you the strength of their equipment. And if your equipment is ranked lower than theirs, you're not gonna do much damage. If if your sword is weaker than their armor, it's gonna take a while to take them down. If their weapon is stronger than your armor, though, they're gonna fuck you up. So, and I've learned this the hard way a few times. So, it took me doing a couple of side quests and finding enough crafting materials to upgrade my stuff and having good weapons before the combat finally clicked with me. But now that it did, I'm having a blast. But my advice, pick up everything when you're out in the wilderness. All the plants that you see, pick them all, because you need to upgrade your weapons, and some of those materials that you need, there's are the plants that you can pick out in the wilderness. Plus, some of those plants are seeds that double as grenades. You pick them up and they're like fire or ice or lightning seeds, and elements work really well in this game, too, because they work with the environment. Sometimes there'll be brambles you have to burn to get to a secret chest. Or if enemies are standing in the water, you can electrocute it to do damage to them. Or sometimes there are weak gates that you can break with ice magic. So it's worth using magic sometimes, or at least having the elemental grenades in your inventory. One of the really cool things about combat, and I think you'll appreciate this too, there's no character class here, so you can wield anything and everything you want to, and you can do any combination of it. This game has swords, shields, maces, bows and arrows, guns, grimoires, magic wands, and you can do all of this. I started with a sword and shield, and I had a wand and a book of spells in the other loadout. And the wand, honestly, having a wand and a book of spells made me feel like Harry Potter. I'm not gonna lie, the way they flick the wand when you cast magic. Um, but but now I have a book of spells and a gun in one loadout, and then I have a sword and an axe in the other loadout. I'm dual wielding 2 weapons. I've been experimenting with different mixtures, and I like them. And my sword sets enemies on fire when I hit them with it, and my axe freezes enemies when I hit them with it, and my gun electrocutes them. So I'm doing all kinds of elemental damage with different weapons, and then I have a book of spells on top of it. I'm casting magic in this game is nuts. It is way overpowered. You can fuck everything up with the right magic. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So it's so
This sounds
satisfying.
fun.
It is. I think you would genuinely enjoy it. I just say the most important thing to remember when you go to play it is that you have to upgrade your weapons to stand a snowball's chance in hell against certain enemies. You know, if you come up to a certain group of enemies and you find that you're getting your ass kicked a lot, maybe retreat and go do a different side quest so you can get better shit and upgrade it and then come back later once you've gotten stronger weapons. You know,
Fair enough.
that's the best way to do it. There's a lot of player agency there. But yeah, I left the first area, Paradise, and I'm in the second area now, the Emerald Stair, it's called. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So yeah, this basically you and your companions are trying to find you're investigating the Dream Scourge and trying to put an end to it. And and as you go along trying to do that, you run into other people that need your help with other things that you can, choose to do if you want to. There's also a mysterious voice in your head. I should probably mention the most important thing. Not long after you arrive in Paradise, you pretty much immediately get killed with a poison arrow, but a mysterious voice brings you back to life, and then you investigate your own murder.
Interesting.
Yes, and then the mysterious voice is stuck in your head through the rest of the game. It talks to you in your sleep every time in your dreams, every time you sleep at your camp. And every time you make important story decisions, the voice talks to you about the decision you made. It is actually possible to piss off the voice, too, if you make certain choices. So,
Okay.
yeah. I'm not sure if I trust what it is yet or not, but I'm having
Fair enough.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. All right. So far, though, okay, so, I mean, the game, I will say, I am enjoying it a lot, but it's not, like, anything particularly new or special or stand out. Like, it's a very generic RPG, and it is, I wouldn't say it's flawed in any way, but it's not, like, it won't stand out among the crowd. It's fun, but it's probably not going to win any awards, we'll say. It's a very okay game,
Yeah.
Like, I would say objectively it probably would be a 7 out of 10 game. I want to give it an 8 out of 10. So I'll settle in the middle at a 7.5.
Okay.
There's not really anything about it that I don't like in particular. I get frustrated when I start getting my ass handed to me in combat, but that's my own fault for going places I shouldn't be yet. But
Fair.
I haven't had any problems yet. There have been a couple times where I was dodging enemy attacks and then I accidentally dodged backwards off the edge of a cliff. So that was but that happened in Skyrim too. So
Fair enough.
and I'm playing in first person. But you can play in third person if you want. There's a toggle for that in the settings. So.
Oh, sweet shit.
But it will be like playing Skyrim in third person. I'm just warning you now. So.
That is not a fun time.
But yeah, I'm gonna go 7.5. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's like it doesn't go above and beyond or anything. It's a solid. A solid romp, a popcorn flick video game, a great fun RPG. If you like Skyrim, you'll like this. It's like a discount Skyrim. So, all right, what did you have for us?
I have a movie that I watched that has been living rent-free in my head. I watched a movie called recently. I watched a movie recently called The Substance.
Oh, okay.
This movie, what I understand the message that they were trying to send.
I don't know if I'd say trying. I'd say they succeeded.
They far succeeded. This movie, body horror, the is not for people with weak stomachs.
Not for the faint of heart.
Not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
No.
Have you ever seen Jeff Goldblum's The Fly?
No, I haven't. Dude, this was a tough watch.
Yeah.
I don't. Oof.
Well, tell us what it was about, at least.
So, Demi Moore's character is a fitness guru host on a television network. And she's getting up there in age, and the producer knows that. So he gets on the phone and wants them to get him someone new.
Yeah, trade in the old model for a newer one, a younger one?
Yeah.
Perhaps?
Yep. That's exactly that. Yep. There's no sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
This.
Basically how Hollywood treats its older actresses.
Dude, the twists and turns that come after that sent chills down my spine.
I've seen this too, so we can safely say the main draw-in of the movie is that she takes this experimental medication that makes her look younger, basically.
Yeah.
But it's like a body transformation thing, like someone turning into a werewolf, you know?
Yeah, and the dude that this.
It's where that goes that it
Yep.
gets. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's
brings a whole new meaning to shed your skin, doesn't it?
Dude.
Yes.
You have all the idea. I would say you have no idea, but you know. If you know, you know.
Oh, I know.
Oh man.
Yeah, and it's
this
the other her where a lot of the twists and turns really come in this movie.
Oh, absolutely. This I'm surprised Demi Moore herself didn't win an Oscar for her performance in this film.
Mm-hmm.
She should have.
What Oscar did this movie win?
It won. Oh, shoot.
It won Best Makeup and Hairstyling.
Okay. Rightfully so. Because goddamn. Demi Moore had to have gone through hours of makeup for that.
Absolutely.
That shit was nuts.
Yeah, this is the kind of movie I would tell people if they can handle body horror to see it for themselves. You don't want to know too much going into this one.
No.
Look, one of the accolades for the movie on its poster on IMDb is literally IndieWire being quoted as calling it absolutely fucking insane. So
this movie lives rent-free in my head.
Hey, that's how you know it's good. Soma lived rent-free in my head for years after I finished it. Still does sometimes. Dennis Quaid was in this too.
Yeah, he was. He was the scumbag producer.
So what would you rate this then?
9.5 out of 10.
9.5. Okay. Okay. I think it's an 8 for me. Uh it has a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb. I also probably should have mentioned that Avowed has a 80 on Metacritic for critic ratings, but a 6.9 for user ratings.
Okay. Yeah, no, I ended up buying the substance blindly on Apple TV, not knowing anything about the movie. Just
good.
knowing that it was nominated for an Oscar.
I'm glad you went into it blind.
And boy, was I in for a fucking treat. God
Oh, yeah.
damn. Holy shit.
All right.
I can see why it was nominated for Best Picture.
So, the entry Brooksy sent in for me to read is also a movie. And he says, my Media Corner take this segment comes from the mind of the divisive horror film Longlegs creator, Oz Perkins. This movie is called The Monkey. Given the fact that Longlegs was an uncomfortable movie and is produced by the brilliant mind of James Wan, notably known for the Conjuring franchise, I expected a brutally gory and unsettling retelling of one of Stephen King's stories. This feeling was amplified by the creepy aesthetic of every trailer that had come out with the haunting appearance of the monkey toy itself. What I received instead felt like an over-the-top borderline spoof style of a horror comedy akin to Freaky or Happy Death Day. This is not a bad genre. In fact, it's something that I really enjoy. Me too. Yeah, I would compare this movie to like Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Okay.
But I had this odd sense of feeling duped by the time the credits rolled. I kept thinking to myself, when is it going to get scary? When is the serious tone coming in? Only to realize 2/3 of the way through that it wasn't happening. I would also note that although I did enjoy the build-up to present-day characters, I do feel like it dragged on more than what was needed for the main character's backstory as a preteen. The deaths were hilarious. I will not take that away. It was nice to see random familiar faces like Elijah Wood portraying an author and motivational speaker for good parenting, and how he got under our protagonist's skin for being a self-made bad dad. It's not a movie I anticipate adding to my physical collection, but one I would not be upset about if someone put it on as a background show. For that, I would give this movie a 6 out of 10. It is serviceable. It is gory at times, it is funny, but it fell flat for my personable preference. Had they advertised this movie as a bloody good comedy, my score would have probably been a 7 or 7.5. And after a potential rewatch and going in knowing more of the premise, but for now, I am mildly disappointed. I know the lovely human reading this for me on my behalf does have a differing opinion on this take, and I look forward to hearing what it is. Yeah, and I'll just tell you real quick, I gave this movie an 8 out of 10. I'm all 8 out of 10s today. But the reason is I read reviews ahead of time, so I knew it was going to be a comedy going in. I knew it was going to be a horror comedy. I looked at it on IMDb, and yes, it is. The opening scene of the movie pretty much tells you what you're in for the rest of the movie, and it doesn't let up from there. The basic premise of the movie is that these kids find this toy monkey, this drumming monkey, and they turn the key on it, and every time it plays the drums, someone dies through some kind of weird random accident, like some weird, like Rube Goldbergian Final Destination type shit.
Okay.
You know,
I
The
need to
monkey
see
doesn't
this.
the monkey doesn't kill people directly, it just causes them to die through hilarious oopsie daisies. Is basically what happens.
I need
You
to
know?
see this.
Like someone like fucking slipping on a banana peel and then their hair gets caught on fire and then they run into a fence post. You know, like some shit like that.
Okay.
It's really it's a splattery, over the top funny movie. It's meant to be funny. It is stupid funny sometimes. They didn't stick the landing, in my opinion. The ending is really dumb. I just didn't care for the ending at all. But the rest of the movie is great. For me, it falls apart in the third act when they confront the main villain of the movie and they have that standoff. All that shit right there is really corny and stupid. But everything leading up to that was hilarious. My only complaint is that the kills maybe weren't gory enough. You know, I was hoping for more, you know, because I heard a lot of Final Destination comparisons, so I was hoping it would be more like that. And there are some that are like that, but I think they take the easy way out too much. But there are some hilarious ones. Just a mild spoiler to give you an example. There's a part where a chick jumps into a electrified pool, and normally that would just cause someone to like get electrocuted and die and their body would float in the water. This chick jumps into the electrified pool and her body explodes into 20 pieces.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So that's the kind of movie you're in for.
Okay.
With this, yeah. So you got to know that. Nick, you would love it. It is definitely your kind of thing. It is.
Okay.
It's gory and funny and dumb as fuck. So
I need. I'm here for it. I need to see this.
And it is hilarious. There's like a scene where they're sitting in a graveyard and the mom is explaining death to the boys, and just the way she does it is just some of the darkest and funniest shit I've ever heard. It is so bad. It's very dark humor too. Like let's not be, you know, I'm not talking about, you know, Bugs Bunny slapstick here. This is it's a horror movie. It's gory, it's violent, and it's funny. It's dark funny. So
Okay.
yeah, it's dark humor, and it's just like, well, basically there is slapstick, but all the slapstick ends in a gory death. So
Fair enough.
yeah, you know. But yeah, it's there. My only complaint, like I said, I wish it was more, but also there's so many deaths that happen off screen, and I wish they would have given like more attention to that, you know. There's just so it feels like they kind of cheapened their way out of it, like they didn't have the budget to, like they blew their budget on the really big deaths, so they had to like cut corners with the rest of them, you know.
Right.
So because this was like an indie produced movie, much like Late Night with the Devil, there's like 20 different company logos in the beginning. So so it was, but yeah, it is based on a short Stephen King movie or story, but they just really expanded it, and it is, so yeah, it'd be an 8 out of 10 for me, but
Okay.
but that is just, when you watch it, go into it expecting to laugh, but like also be disturbed at the same time, you know, like expect a dark.
Fully going to be going into this expecting to laugh.
Expect a dark comedy. That's the only way you can appreciate it. If you expect a serious horror movie, you're going to be disappointed.
Right.
It's good. This is a movie I feel like you have to set your expectations correctly going in, or you will be disappointed. You know, this is not one to go into blindly.
No.
So, I will say people are not being very generous with this one on IMDb. So, it has a 6.4 out of 10. So,
Oof.
but I think a lot of people had the same experience as Brooksy. They expected a serious horror movie, and then they got comedic schlock instead. You
Fair
know,
enough, yeah.
they got a goofy B movie. So, it was fun. It could have been better, but it's one of those, you can tell that it's a dark comedy because it's one of those movies where the very last scene is another funny death. You know what I mean?
Fair enough, yeah.
So, yeah. But, all right. Well, that'll do it for the Media Corner. Avowed is on Game Pass. I don't know if the Substance is streaming anywhere, and The Monkey is still in theaters. But you said you bought the Substance on Apple.
Yeah, I ended up buying it blindly. Yeah.
Available on digital rental and purchase. So,
Yes.
All right. With all that being said, it's time for Le Topic.
Let's go.
You've been cancelled, you've been cancelled, you've been cancelled. Get to the back of the queue. You've been cancelled, you've been cancelled, you've been cancelled. Everybody's laughing at you.
All right, everybody, here we are at the topic, and in this episode, we're going to be discussing series that we were into that they ended before they were done. They got canceled or just never finished. They never got a definitive ending, either left off on a big cliffhanger that never got resolved, or something like that. And before we get into it, I am going to read what Brooksy sent in, because he had 2 examples specifically. He says, topics of the show, tots, 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 tots. A reference, that's a kind of funny reference. He said, I have 2 that I would like to mention. A TV show called Mindhunter. He said, I will be the first to admit that I am traditionally not one for crime stories or murder mysteries, unlike my wife, who consumes documentaries like nothing else. She asked me to give this show a go after season 1 dropped and devoured it in a single day. She was really onto something. For those that do not know, the show revolves around 2 different FBI agents that work with the Behavioral Science Unit. They launch a research initiative to understand the psychology behind serial killers in the hopes of applying their knowledge to solve ongoing cases, including the Bind, Torture, Kill killer, the BTK killer. The show's casting for different serial killers at that time included infamous Ed Kemper, were beyond spot on visually and incredibly chilling to watch. From my understanding, we were far from the only people watching, and it was critically acclaimed. Netflix, who produced the show, decided after season 2 that due to high production costs, they did not see a justifiable reason to renew for a 3rd season, leaving the show on a mild cliffhanger with BTK still on the loose. It's one of those shows I Google every few months to see if a resurgence has come in, but after Netflix cut everyone to free up their availability, it does not look like we will see a return to form. Yeah, Netflix is where shows go to die, honestly. It is...
Pretty much, yeah.
They're just as bad as Fox when it comes to that shit. So...
Although they did save a couple Fox shows.
They did save some stuff, yeah. And we'll talk about that too, because it's worth mentioning that sometimes it works in reverse. We'll save a spot at the end for things that got canceled but came back.
Yeah.
So his second thing is a video game, PT, the Silent Hills playable teaser. This feels like the most obvious choice for a video game franchise that never reached a finale. I was one of the few people to have been lucky enough to play the teaser for this continuation of a very beloved franchise, and still to this day is one of the scariest things I have ever played to date. I am, and will forever, always be a Hideo Kojima stan, and yes, that does include loving the Amazon Delivery Guy simulator, best known as Death Stranding. Hideo is a masterclass act when it comes to creating tension in games, from Metal Gear Solid to the personally highly anticipated experience known as OD. To see a return to form within our grasp for Silent Hill was indeed too good to be true. Due to the creative differences between Hideo Kojima himself and Konami, without Kojima, in my personal opinion, there is no more Silent Hill or Metal Gear Solid. It's largely why Metal Gear Survive failed with a 60 on Metacritic, and why Konami is focused on remakes of Hideo's IP like Silent Hill 2 and Metal Gear Solid Delta. I am sad to never get to see the final product, but I am optimistic to see what is on the horizon for Kojima in the future. I just have to say real quick, I don't think Hideo Kojima had any involvement in the original Silent Hill games. I think it was just PT, but I could be wrong about that. Silent Hill 2 remake didn't need him because the original didn't have him. So I don't, at least not as far as I'm aware. I'm pretty sure, because I distinctly remember Kojima saying in an interview, in fact, that after working on PT, he didn't want to do any more horror games because it gave him nightmares. So, if that was the case, I don't think, yeah, I genuinely don't think Hideo Kojima was involved in any other Silent Hill besides PT. So, but I'll have to look into that to be sure.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so yeah, that never got off the ground. Since he mentioned video games anyways, I do want to say there was a episodic game called Blues and Bullets that came out a while ago on PS4 that I did a let's play of. It was going to be a 5-episode game, like a Telltale game, and they did 3 episodes, and the story was getting really good. It was like a noir detective story, and then they just never finished it. They never did the last 2 episodes. They just left it unfinished. I think it was like budget.
Why though?
It just I think either the studio got shut down or they didn't have the budget or something. I can't remember what the reason was.
Man.
But I was very disappointed because I was so into it at that point.
I believe it.
You were telling me you had a TV show for this.
Yes. So it's based on a James Patterson book,
Okay.
but it's called Zoo. Zoo only got 3 seasons. And all 3 seasons were on Netflix at one point or another. But this show, let me read the plot summary for you real quick.
Okay.
Violent animal attacks upon humans are occurring all over the world. Jackson Oz, American zoologist who offers safaris in Africa, begins to notice the animals' strange behavior and takes it upon himself to solve the reason why before these attacks become more coordinated and ferocious. Dude, this team of people that he puts together it's almost like a post-apocalyptic world, but instead of humans turning into zombies, all of the animals in the world are turning into apex predators,
Okay.
hunting the humans. Dude, this show is so fucking good. But what they did, the way it got left on this cliffhanger was, there should be a law against this kind of like, dude, you do not leave a story like this unfinished. It's
Yeah.
uh
It sounds like a show I would have liked.
dude, it is so good.
I'd never even heard of it till now. That's crazy.
It's so good. But if you want the story, there's a book. You can find it in a book. It is Zoo by James Patterson.
Okay.
It is the show is the book in its entirety.
Oh, well, fair enough. Well, wait a minute though. Is that but I'm assuming the show didn't get through the whole book before it got canceled.
From my understanding, it did. They were going to expand on it.
Oh, they had plans for more and just never got
Yes.
to. Okay.
Yes.
So in a way, it does have an ending, but there was like basically a part 2, coming that they never got to do.
James Patterson hasn't written the book yet.
I wonder if he ever does, if the show will come back then.
Maybe. Maybe. Fingers crossed.
Okay. That would be good to know.
This is almost like it like they could have gone the route that HBO did with Game of Thrones and not wait for George R.R. Martin to write the next book, or not wait for James Patterson to write the next book, and just, they could have taken a page out of HBO's book. They could have, but no.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I mean, to be fair, speaking of HBO, I think we've seen what happens when the media adaptation gets ahead of the source material and starts doing its own thing. And
yes.
Needless to say, the results are not great. So
no.
Remind me, did the third Fantastic Beasts movie get canceled, or did they end up doing that eventually?
The third?
Yeah, wasn't there going to be a third one?
Yeah, that was Secrets of Dumbledore.
Okay, so they did.
That's been out.
That's
been out.
Okay. Well, I thought it was like delayed or something, or they were like replacing Johnny Depp because of the whole shit with Amber Heard or something.
No, they replaced him real fucking fast.
Yeah, WB are a bunch of idiots. Well, speaking of Johnny Depp, I think we can count Pirates of the Caribbean in this, because originally the plan was to do 6 movies. Johnny Depp had a 6-movie contract, and when they wrongfully dropped him after all that shit, he basically said he doesn't want to come back. It means the series we may never get that 6th movie. And if you remember correctly, the 5th movie, the credit scene kind of ended on a big old Davy Jones cliffhanger. So
it sure the fuck did. I wish Disney would just fucking set their pride aside and say, "Hey, sorry man, we fucked up. Here's however much you're asking for to finish the final film of the franchise." That would be fucking awesome. But I don't ever foresee that happening.
Yeah,
I think he would. I think he would be open to do it, but he's just waiting for that apology that he's never gonna get.
Yeah, it's pretty upsetting, honestly, that most of the things in life that I genuinely enjoy, some of the games, shows, and movies, are all made by shit companies.
Yeah,
so you got to separate the art from the artist. Because it sucks. Some of my favorite games are published by EA and Ubisoft. Some of my favorite movies come from Disney and WB, and they're all just so bad now. Not the products, but the companies themselves. I mean, they're just
no. Yeah, absolutely. Never the products.
But EA has always
the companies
sucked. EA has sucked for over a decade. That's nothing
That's
new.
fair.
For them,
Yeah.
Remember, back in 2009 when they won Worst Company of the Year or something like that.
Yes.
It was crazy.
For how many years in a row?
Right. SeaWorld too. SeaWorld got it one year. For the way they treat their animals, but yeah, but
they did.
For example, that one show I recommended to you because I thought you might like, that just hit Disney. It's like a Pixar show about baseball and shit. I forgot what it's called. Like
Win or Lose.
Yeah. Well, I recently saw a thing about how they cut a transgender character from the show and replaced them with a religious one, and now I'm like, I don't know about that anymore.
I'm glad I haven't even started it.
Yeah. So
like I would hate to have gotten invested in it and then that shit happens.
Right. Yeah. Or to find out.
I can check that off my list.
Fair enough. But yeah, I had another.
Disney's following the agenda now, I guess.
Speaking of Disney, The Acolyte, a Star Wars show.
Yeah.
It was intended to keep going. The show itself, so The Acolyte, it takes place way before Phantom Menace, like 100 years before, during the High Republic era when there's a lot of Jedi. And it follows two sisters that are magical, sort of, and force sensitive. They're twins, and one of them is being manipulated by a Sith Lord, and the other one is being trained by the Jedi, and they kind of go up against each other. Well, the Sith that one of them is being trained by, his master at the end of the show, it turns out, is Darth Plagueis, which was the Sith Lord who trained Darth Sidious, aka Emperor Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
And you may remember in Revenge of the Sith, he turned to Anakin and he's like, "Have I ever told you the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise?"
I remember that.
So, yeah.
Revenge of the Sith was my favorite of the prequel trilogy.
The darkest Star Wars movie out of all of them.
Abso-fucking-lutely, yes.
And the only one to be rated PG-13 for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. All I can say is window.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, it's terrible. Also,
oh my god.
Count Dooku? More like Count Decapitation. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. But I hate that the Acolyte basically ends on a big cliffhanger where they introduce you to Darth Plagueis, and there's one of the Jedi. It also ends with one of the Jedi visiting Master Yoda. So they introduce in the very last episode two pretty big characters from Star Wars lore, only for the second season to get canceled because a bunch of racist assholes hated on the show because the main protagonist is a black woman. So it didn't do numbers because, let's be honest, a huge portion of Star Wars fans are racist incels. So
that's a fair point, yeah.
They don't like the new stuff because they're like, hashtag not my Star Wars. They grew up with the originals, and that's all they care about. They're like, back in my day, there was only one black person in all the galaxy, and his name was Lando Calrissian. Fucking idiots. So, I actually, some things genuinely I can see, like Dragon Age Veilguard, I can see outside of the culture wars from the perspective of someone who's played the previous games and seen. It is objectively the worst one, and I can see why it failed from that side of things. But the idiots complaining about non-binary characters and stuff aren't helping matters. And they do tend to drown out valid criticism with their stupidity. So you can't really have a nuanced discussion about these things online anymore because they're getting in the way. So, unfortunately, because people saw the Acolyte and saw who was in it, just the star, they see the poster and they're like, "Oh, black lady." They're like, "I'm not even going to watch it." So it just didn't do numbers because they refused. So... But honestly, you can't put anything new out anymore and not have somebody bitch about it. So they are doing all that. Speaking of Dragon Age, I think it's safe to say that at least for now, we're probably not getting another one after Veilguard. So many people got fired after that game came out, and BioWare is basically hanging on by a thread now, basically to finish the next Mass Effect game. And if that doesn't do well, we probably won't get any more of those either. So
right.
I think it's safe to say that Dragon Age is probably done after Veilguard, but they didn't intend for it to be done. There is a secret ending you can unlock in the game that hints towards a sequel, another one. So
okay.
It definitely feels like they wanted to keep going, but I don't think they're gonna be able to. Honestly, I don't think EA is gonna let them keep going with that series. Another company could, however, save it if they buy the rights. because Baldur's Gate 3, was done by Larian Studio and it won Game of the Year and everything. Fun fact, the first two Baldur's Gate games were actually done by BioWare. So,
Okay.
so it, maybe give Dragon Age to Larian Studio. Maybe they can fix it, But for now, I think it's safe to say that one is done. Can't have this topic without talking about Firefly, a show that everyone loved and only lasted one season for some reason. And to this day, people are still pissed that it never got finished.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot in these discussions. If I remember correctly, wasn't it a spin-off of Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's so unfortunate what happened to that. I want to talk really quickly about Fringe, because this is a show that Ryan has showed me before. I know he really liked, and it actually lasted 5 seasons, but it still wasn't done, and it did get canceled because it started getting diminishing returns later in the show. The ratings just weren't there later on. But basically, it was a show about the FBI teams up with a formally institutionalized scientist who was who was performing experiments on the fringe of real science, and his son to investigate weird crimes that are seemingly part of a larger pattern. And when they say weird, they mean like unexplained phenomena, like mysterious, maybe not quite paranormal, but maybe not either, just like weird things that are hard to explain through normal science, kind of maybe a little X-Files-ish in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Ryan really liked the show. And from what I watched of it, I've seen a few episodes of the first season. It did seem really good, It seemed like the kind of thing I would enjoy. At this point, though, I just don't have any interest in starting something that doesn't have an actual ending,
That's fair.
Speaking of which, I think the show Grimm never got finished. I could be wrong, but I really liked that one. It reminded me of Supernatural, but it was about this guy who was a descendant of the Brothers Grimm, and he could see fairy tale creatures in the real world. They were hiding among us, and he could see them, but other people couldn't. And basically, he was also a cop, and he would sometimes have to solve crimes that were directly related to these fairy tale creatures.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he could see them as they really were, because to everyone else they look like normal humans, but he can see them as what they really are.
Yeah.
In the show, it went from 2011 to 2017. It got
Okay.
How
many seasons did it run for?
I want to say 5 or 6. Funny thing is, for this show, on IMDb, in the recommended for shows that are similar to it, they're like, if you like this, you'll probably also like, the first thing that pops up is Lucifer.
Okay.
And then right after that, it's Bones, and then Charmed, and then Heroes, and then True Blood, and then Supernatural. So, kind of seeing a pattern there.
Yeah.
I think pretty much all of those shows got actual endings, and Bones might still be going, as far as I know. I think it's still going. No, it ended in 2017. Never mind. Don't know if it was canceled or not, but there was another show I watched a while back called Reaper. I can't remember exactly what it was about, but it was funny, and it had something to do with the Grim Reaper. But it only lasted a season. It got canceled super quick. I think we mentioned earlier that like Fox and Netflix are where a lot of shows go to die, and Fox had so many comedies. Like Alan Gregory was one where Jonah Hill played this little smart kid. That one died super quick.
They had a fucking sitcom that was produced by Seth MacFarlane that had Seth Green in it called Dads.
Oh yeah, and
that
Giovanni
only ran
Ribisi.
that only ran for one season, and I was super fucking sad when it got canceled because it was so funny.
Yeah. I remember starting a lot of shows that did not go very far. They got before they got canceled.
I mean, there's another show that got canceled, but that's because it didn't have a huge following. Velma.
Yeah. Yeah. After 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Shit. Speaking of Fox, The Cleveland Show.
Yeah. I was
Family
gonna say
Family
the
Guy
Cleveland-
spin-off. Yeah. And you know what? I actually genuinely like The Cleveland Show. I have the first 2 seasons on DVD, in fact.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been the third one is hard to find. The third season, I've been looking for it. I think I can get it from Walmart's website though.
Nice.
But yeah, I actually genuinely liked the Cleveland Show.
It was a good show.
I've been rewatching it lately, and there was a line I forgot about that made me laugh because you know how I said I was rewatching all the Family Guy DVDs with commentary on recently. I've been doing that with the Cleveland Show too, and there was an episode with this is how I learned that Cleveland's dad, Freight Train, is actually played by comedian Craig Robinson. I didn't know that from Hot Tub Time Machine. Yeah,
Nice.
you've seen Hot Tub Time Machine, right?
1 and 2, yes.
Okay, so the funny black guy in that movie,
Yes.
big,
He's in a lot of stuff he's in a lot of stuff with Seth Rogen now too.
Yeah. So that's how I learned that that he
He's
was
on
played
The
by him.
Office.
I also didn't know. So Kevin Michael Richardson, who I'm sure you've met Jerome on Family Guy.
Yes.
That's his normal voice, very deep, manly black man voice, right? He also did the voice of Lester, Cleveland's neighbor, the old white redneck. And and he did the voice of Cleveland Jr. in the show too.
Okay.
I didn't know Kevin Michael Richardson had range like that. But he definitely does. And what's crazy is he's got a really good singing voice, which he also proved on that show, because there's a couple of musical numbers just like Family Guy. And one of the songs is when Junior falls in love with this girl, and he does this song he's like talking about how he's balls deep in love.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love. Yeah, it's actually a really catchy song. And it shows that Kevin Michael Richardson can really sing. So yeah, I've been getting a lot of fun facts from the commentary of that, but I've also been because it's been a while since I've seen it. I'm reliving some jokes I forgot about. There's this scene in the season 1 finale where Rollo and Freight Train are talking to each other,
Okay.
and then they're just making jokes and stuff, and then Freight Train's wife, Cookie, Cleveland's mom, comes up, and she's like, hey, what are you up to? And he's like, I'm just talking to Black Stewie here. And that shit was funny. And I was listening to the commentary on that, and Mike Henry was like, I don't know if we've earned that joke yet. Mike Henry, of course, being the voice of Cleveland and Rollo on the show,
That's fantastic.
and the voice of Consuela and Herbert on Family Guy,
Okay.
and the greased up deaf guy, and what's his name? Bruce.
Okay.
The guy that's like, oh no. Him.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mike Henry doesn't play Cleveland anymore on Family Guy. He's voiced by an actual black guy now that's doing a pretty spot on impression. But he used to. And I remember Herbert would make a lot of cameo appearances on the Cleveland Show because he voiced him. So he's like, yeah, in the commentary, he's like, yeah, every once in a while we borrow Herbert. He's like, what are they gonna do? I'm the one who voices him. So
Fair enough.
But yeah, the Cleveland show just didn't do as well, and it ended up getting canceled after 4 seasons. And then, obviously, they moved Cleveland back to Quahog in the next season of Family Guy, and they actually do a whole episode about it called He's Black. And the very opening of the episode, Cleveland joins the guys at the bar, and he's back in town. And they absolutely they roast the fuck out of him for his show.
Oh, I believe it. I remember this.
Yeah. I remember one of the parts is like Peter hands Cleveland a bunch of Family Guy DVDs, and he's like, "This is what we've been up to while you've been gone, so you can get caught up." And he's like, "And just so you know, these have jokes in them." Cleveland's like, I don't have a DVD player. Yeah, but no, they absolutely destroyed him they like roast. It was basically the roast of the Cleveland show.
I would say so.
And then, of course, Donna and Lois didn't get along, so they didn't want Peter and Cleveland hanging out and that whole thing. But we haven't seen much of Cleveland's family since he's come back, but he is back in Quahog, and he does hang out with the guys a lot. He was... There was actually a new Family Guy episode last Sunday where Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, the one that is known for getting really drunk all the time and harassing women, is... Peter takes his spot on the Supreme Court. And he takes Peter's spot in Quahog hanging out with the other 3 guys. And they just spend the whole time getting into drunk shenanigans. Meanwhile, Peter is, he's Peterizing the Supreme Court.
Oh no.
Yes. It's a great episode. New season of Family Guy is 3 episodes in already. And
whoever thought of that is genius.
Yeah. I don't remember.
I need to watch this episode.
I would recommend all 3 of the new seasons so far. The first episode, the season premiere, was a Top Gun parody, like how they do with Star Wars.
Okay.
They did a full-on Top Gun parody. There are a lot of Scientology jokes and jokes about Tom Cruise being short in there. Season 23 is 3 episodes in. Oh, the second episode was called Live, Laugh, Love. And basically, Peter becomes obsessed with the fact that Joe has never laugh reacted to any of his texts, only ever give him a thumbs up. So he becomes determined to get a laugh react from Joe. And meanwhile, Lois chaperones a field trip that Chris and Meg are on, and tries to help Principal Shepard reconnect with his ex-girlfriend. So,
okay,
yeah, some three really great episodes so far. Though I would say that the newest one, it's called Drunk with Power, is probably the best one so far this season. There's a new episode tomorrow night too. It's called Lois CK.
Lord.
All it says is, due to Peter's shenanigans, Lois is late. So, but anyways, yeah, got there from the Cleveland show. Yeah, being canceled and renewed. Also worth mentioning, I guess, that Family Guy and American Dad were both canceled but did come back. American Dad left Fox and got picked up by TBS, and that's where they live now. And Family Guy's been canceled twice and got renewed both times. The second time was due to DVD sales being so high that they saw that it was popular and decided to keep it going. So now it's one of their cash cows, more or less.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Just scrolling through a quick list that I found on Reddit, just thinking of some TV series that got canceled too soon. Someone else said Mindhunter, so Brooksy's not the only one. Freaks and Geeks is on the list here. Somebody said, go to Netflix, close your eyes and scroll. Stop at pretty much any point and you will get a legit answer. the two examples they listed, Chaos and the Society. I want to say, did you ever hear the show called iZombie?
That was a good one.
Okay, so you did know that. I'm pretty sure that ended prematurely, didn't it? We never got an actual ending to that show.
I don't think we ever did.
The one where the girl is a zombie, but she's working in the morgue and pretending to not be a zombie, trying to keep her secret.
Yeah, it's an interest. It's like a crime drama.
Yeah, I genuinely liked it. If I'm being honest,
it is interesting.
There was another zombie-esque show that got canceled that people really liked. The Santa Clarita Diet, I think it was called.
No, that got an actual ending, I believe, because I watched that show. I watched that show in its entirety.
Okay.
And that is a Netflix show.
Let's see some of the other examples here. Rome on HBO, Pushing Daisies. Oh, I've heard of that one. Dead Like Me. Yeah. Invader Zim. The Nickelodeon cartoon. Firefly, of course. Everybody says that. Glow, Better Off Ted, Deadwood, 1899. Oh, Last Man on Earth. Yes. I'm so glad someone said that, because that show ended on such a huge cliffhanger, and I was so mad. The original premise of that show, it was starring Will Forte, by the way. It was a comedy drama on Fox where Will Forte wakes up one day and finds out he's literally the last man on Earth. Everyone else is just gone. And it's post-apocalyptic, and it's kind of funny. The first few episodes are basically him trying to figure out how to live by himself in the planet. But as the show goes on, they start to reveal that more and more people survive than initially thought, and eventually they have like a small little group of survivors.
Okay.
And eventually they run into another group of survivors, and it starts going from being comedic to more kind of Walking Dead-esque, very more serious. But there's no zombies or anything. It's just all these people trying to survive in a dead world. And
right.
And it's still funny at times. Will Forte's character is a real bastard. He does a lot of shitty things that people don't like. He does redeem himself eventually, but in the earlier seasons, he's a fuck. But the show, it got 4 seasons, and then the last season ended on a huge cliffhanger where they were being surrounded by a group of raiders, and it was like, oh shit, like someone's about to die, or some shit's about to go down, and that's how it ended. And then we never got anything else after that. That's just it. A huge cliffhanger. I was so mad. I was so into that show. I was so into the story. And then to find out it just ended. Oh, fuck you, Fox. After ending the season like that, a cliffhanger like that, and then to just never resolve it, what a bunch of shits. That one stung. Honestly. That one was...
Where was it that Zoo aired? I forget where Zoo aired.
Altered Carbon is another one someone said. Yes.
Zoo was a CBS show.
Okay. Someone said The Muppets. That's interesting. Oh, they must be talking about the new Muppet show that hit Disney Plus. Like when they tried to reboot the old classic Muppet show. Yeah, that's unfortunate, because I kind of like that too. Jericho. The Expanse. Yeah, The Expanse. But that show is already, like, it lasted for at least 6 seasons. Warehouse 13. Somebody said The Witcher, but it's not over yet. The Witcher's still going. I think they're just being funny. Sense 8, that was a show on Netflix that I kind of liked that never got an ending. Kind of dealt with people with like telekinetic powers and shit.
Yeah.
See, people in this thread are saying Santa Clarita Diet, and no one's correcting them. So I wonder, are you sure that got an ending?
I believe so. Let me check the IMDb page.
Well, while you're doing that, I think it's a good time to squeeze in our quick things that got canceled but came back, thankfully.
Yeah.
got picked up by someone else or something. Arrested Development, that got canceled, but then Netflix picked it up and finished it eventually.
Manifest got picked up by Netflix, saving it from cancellation.
Where did
they did
Manifest start?
I'm sorry?
Where did Manifest start? What channel?
NBC, I think. Either
Okay.
NBC or CBS.
So it wasn't Fox.
No. Lucifer was Fox, though.
Yeah, Lucifer got canceled, but picked up by Netflix.
Netflix saved that one, too, yeah. Cobra Kai was originally a YouTube Red series that got picked up by Netflix.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of series that got picked up by that started on YouTube and became an actual thing, Olin Rogers' show Final Space only got 3 seasons before it got canceled. It was on TBS, and I really liked it. I'm sad that it never got finished.
Is he the one that did? Is he the one that did Ghost in the Stalls?
I genuinely don't know.
Olin Rogers.
By the way, we will have to, I think at some point, do an episode about shows that actually, like, stories that actually did get an ending, finally, you know? Because, like, the first 2 things that come to mind are Supernatural and Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
They got good endings. I'm trying to think. Brooklyn Nine-Nine started on Fox, got canceled, picked up by NBC, and actually finished.
Okay.
And now the whole thing is on Peacock. Brooklyn Nine-Nine got a definitive ending. That's a show that I like how they ended that. Video game wise, I mentioned Baldur's Gate and that before, and that's kind of a good example there, I guess you could say. Futurama, which started on Fox and then eventually got canceled, then got picked up by Comedy Central. And then Comedy Central kind of did actually end the story, to be fair. Like, it had an actual ending. They actually ended it. But
then Hulu picked it up again.
And decided they wanted to keep going. So they found a way to unend that ending. Like the very first episode on Hulu undoes the ending from the Comedy Central episode in a very smart way. You know, a very smart Futurama way, so they can keep going. Honestly, some of those Hulu episodes are really good. You know, I'm kind of glad they decided to keep going. So I really like the one. I really like the one from last season, season 12, where they did a Squid Game parody. That one was really good. So yeah. I'm trying to think whether was there anything else. Not that I can think of off the top of my head in terms of. Yeah.
I got nothing I got nothing either.
And that's fine. That's fine. I'm sure if all 3 of us were here, it probably would have been a more detailed discussion. But
yeah, probably.
But honestly, yeah, I'm glad I was able to get some of these off of my chest. You know, there are some things that got canceled that were probably for the better, like when they tried to do a live action adaptation of the Aragon books, and that movie turned out to be just terrible, so they never did a sequel. That one was probably for the better.
I would say the show is from my understanding still in the works.
Right. Well, it's also kind of like the Percy Jackson show is good, but when they did the movies, those weren't so good. A lot of people thought. So
the show is good. The show is good, and I cannot wait for season 2.
So in some cases, it's actually a good thing that something doesn't work and then gets picked up later. Same for Series of Unfortunate Events. They did the movie with Jim Carrey, but they only got 1 movie. They never went further than that, and I think they intended to, and it just didn't hit the numbers they wanted, so they never made a sequel. But then
Neil Patrick Harris did a TV show on Netflix.
Yep, and we got the whole story
where they got the whole series. Yeah.
Covered all the books, because the Jim Carrey movie only covers like the first 3 books, I want to say.
Yep, the first 3 books, yeah.
And in a very speed runny fashion, honestly.
Very much so. Whereas in the show, each season is one book.
Well, it's kind of like the Golden Compass too. They had the Golden Compass movie, which just covered basically his Dark Materials,
Yeah.
but like it didn't do very well. But now they have the actual HBO show that's 3 seasons long, and each season covers different books in
Mhm.
that series. So they did one whole season for each book, which honestly, if you're going to adapt a book, if you're not going to do 4.5 hour movies like Lord of the Rings, then you should just do a TV show, honestly,
Right?
you know, for the most part, because movies are so limiting that it's so hard to adapt books to them without cutting out so much stuff in the process.
Speaking of, with they've confirmed a casting for Dumbledore for the the Max series that they're doing for Harry Potter. I
Okay.
don't know how I feel about John Lithgow portraying Dumbledore. That's confirmed.
Yeah, fair enough. um, but by the way, speaking of unfinished things, do you think George R. Martin will ever actually finish those Game of Thrones books, or is that going to remain forever unresolved?
I hate to beat the dead horse, but no, I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
Fair enough.
I think his mind is gone on to other things.
Yeah,
I think he's like,
Mm,
well, these guys decided to take over from where I left off, so there's there's no point in continuing going yet. They strayed too far away from the source material.
right. Fair enough. Yeah. Um. Yeah, and he's gone on to other things.
Yeah.
For example, did you know George R. Martin wrote the lore for Elden Ring? That
No, I did not.
that big Soulsborne game. Yeah.
I did
So
not.
so the world in that game, like when you're playing it and you're walking around, all the creatures you see and like the buildings and the castles and just like the general world building was all him. Like
That's awesome.
he told them what he wanted it all to look like, and they did it. So
Nice.
yeah, they hired him specifically for that purpose. So
Makes sense.
and yeah, boy did he deliver.
Yeah, he
From what
did.
I understand. So
I mean,
all
it
right
won
then.
game of the
Ooh.
year.
It did, and deservedly so. Soulsborne games may not be my kind of thing, but I can appreciate something good when it's good. I don't have to personally like it to admit that it deserves its praise. Um. So. All right. Well, yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and wrap it up here on this one.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to stretch it out any longer. We got the point across. So
Yeah, we did.
we do have an itinerary spread out, so I want to give our listeners a peek into the future. Our next episode is going to be the first part of a two-parter where we're going to talk about 50 years of Saturday Night Live to kind of go along with their 50-year anniversary that's happening right now that they've been celebrating through different methods. We're going to talk about some of that, like the SNL 50th special and the concert that they did 2 nights before that, as well as some of our favorite cast members, skits throughout the years, stuff like that. The first part will be talking basically about the show itself. And then 2 episodes after that, we're going to do part 2 where we're going to talk about movies and that are based on SNL skits and also like some of the most memorable musical performances and music to come out of SNL, like The Lonely Island and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
Um,
That's gonna be fun.
In between those two episodes, however, to keep things broken up, we're going to be doing a special surprise topic episode. Those of you who have been around for a while probably know what that means, and I'm pretty sure Nick knows what that means too. But
Yes.
we're going to save it because I don't want to spoil it for Brooksy when we get there. But it'll be fun. It won't be competitive this time, though. I can tell you that much. We're just gonna have fun with it. So, and then I think that's all we have planned so far. But Nick, much like our physical versus digital episode, I was thinking of at some point doing an episode talking about the pros and cons of AI, since that's such a big deal right now.
Yeah.
I think we should do that this year. And eventually we will be doing part 2s for our voice actors and soundtracks episodes as well.
Yes.
Also, you will never believe who reached out to me recently with an interest in being on the show. Deacon.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so I'm going to see where we can squeeze him in. The AI episode might be a good one for that.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So I told him probably sometime in like April or May. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, and then
I look
also
forward to it.
also sometime in April and May, as we alluded to earlier, we'll be doing a spoiler cast for parts 1 and 2 of Lost Records Bloom and Rage. Ideally,
Yes.
all 3 of us will be here for that because we will have all played it all the way through. And I have to say, without spoiling anything, Nick, was I right that how episode 1 ends is essential to experience before you can really judge it?
Yes.
Speaking of cliffhangers, right?
Right.
It recontextualizes everything that comes before it, doesn't it? Like, it makes a certain character's actions throughout the whole thing make a lot more sense.
It does.
So yeah, you have all of that to look forward to, folks. And then, of course, Brooksy will be doing a spoiler cast for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at some point. And it sounds like Nick wants to start doing some recaps of Monday Night Raw. So look forward to all of that.
The premium live events like WrestleMania.
Oh, the big
Royal
ones.
Rumble, the big ones, yeah.
Okay.
Recaps of the premium live events
Okay.
or pay-per-views.
Fair enough. Look forward to all of that coming in the near future. And one last thing before I leave us off, we did get a comment on our last episode that I want to read really quickly. Yes. Happy Matt 12345 says, for films and TV, DVDs physical. For anything else, digital. DVD tends to be higher quality than streaming is the reason why. So, yeah. Which is something Brooksy said, too, in that episode.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So thank you for that comment, Happy Matt. He found my channel through my Amnesia the Bunker playthrough, and because he wanted to see someone else played it. He really liked it. He has actually made a couple of his own indie games over on Itch.io, and I do intend on doing a Let's Play of one of them at some point. So
nice.
Look forward to that. Yeah. So, all right. Well, with all that being said, that'll be the end of this episode. Folks, let me know in the comments down below, if you're on YouTube, about some of the things that never got an ending that you wish would have. Never ended on a cliffhanger, never got that sequel, never got that part 2, never wrapped up. You know, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button. You can also email me at podcastoversoul@gmail.com. Or you can find me on Twitter at oversoul53. As for Nick here, that's TheGamingFiend1 on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And Brooksy is Brooksy My Boy on Instagram. Our music is from Epidemic Sounds. We are hosted by Podserve FM, and a special thank you to our executive producer Sarah for behind-the-scenes help and assistance. And like always, until next time, stay safe out there, everybody, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.